Hey, hello there, Allison and Tony and the Frederico family and the girls and little buddy. Miss you a lot, you little stinker. So I hear that you guys are having a few issues with Buddy, and so let's see if we can answer some of those on this video, and we also can set up a time to talk, but I know you guys have pretty busy lives, you know, so this might help on the fly. Anyways, hey, shh, keep those kids settled down over there. Okay, so Buddy knows place, but after 10 or 15 minutes, he's gonna get up and walk away, and you guys are using your bodies to put him back, or take him by the leash if he doesn't have his eCollar on. If no one's in the room, he will get out right away and follow the person to another room or somewhere else in the room. Okay, so what happens with this is that dogs will usually get up out of place if they don't get a meaningful enough correction. So using your body to put him back on was more of something that you would do when we first started, to kind of show him, I'm claiming this, this is what I want you to do. But I think what's going to be in order is probably a decent leash pop and a no when he gets up from there, and then of course to lead him back and say place when you're doing that. I think the other thing to think about with place is that if you're leaving for 15 minutes, you may want to put him in a place where you can see him. And I know you should be able to get up and leave the room and come back, but I would try first by giving him shorter amounts of time to stay in place. If you need to leave the room, you can come release him from place, so that way you've given him the command, and then he's allowed to get off there, and he could follow you. And then maybe when you come back into the room, you put him back on place. So you wouldn't have to do this every time, but I would suggest doing it a few times so that it just will help kind of quick start him to do that again. I think also I think it's something to, usually when dogs start to not listen as much as they did to start, it's just that, there may be some gray area in there. Maybe the kids have put him in place and not really followed through with it, or you did, or, it's very common. We're all busy, we're all doing stuff, and, he may just need, like 15 minutes set aside to practice place again and kind of start from scratch. Put him in place, walk away, come back, give him a treat if he's still staying there. Maybe put him in place, when he can have a win with it. Maybe when you're on your computer and he's in the same room. And, if he does have his eCollar on at the time, I would also suggest being ready for when, he gets up off of place, so that you can go ahead and give him a much higher correction than you would normally give him. I can't remember what correction he's on now, but I would put it on maybe even a 30 or higher, so he really gets that zing that, you mean business. When he gets off of there, there's going to be a consequence, because I think, right now he's not having a meaningful enough consequence for getting off a place. So, and of course, I don't think you should probably let the kids practice with that. They may not follow through correctly, and, higher corrections. You really want them to be meaningful to the dog, and the dog to really get the picture that even if I leave the room, you are not to get up. So, kind of get yourself set up where you can see him if he gets up, so you can get him at the time of him disobeying. So I hope that makes sense. I think just go a little bit back, try to set aside a little bit of time to work with him, and see if that helps his stay in place. You know, he is a very energetic dog, and I know it is really hard for him to do that. His number one priority is to be with you at all times. So, you know, I'm sure that if he's, you know, it gets overwhelming for him. So, you know, I think the other thing is, if you're having a really busy weekend or a really busy week, just try to set aside that 15 minutes or so that you can play ball with him one-on-one with no distractions, and really give him that one-on-one attention, because then that will pull him back to, hey, I got my needs satisfied. I can sit here for that 15 minutes and tolerate that you left the room and come back. So, you know, that's a lot of times what I see with really, really super needy dogs that really want to, you know, be with you. And he is that type of dog. And then I'd say secondly about your crate situation, you know, like I said, he is a very energetic dog. And it may be that he, you know, once you get past the learning, you know, 2 weeks of kind of keeping him more locked up than you did previously, you know, I would start to give him a little bit more freedom during the day, as long as he's not, you know, breaking the rules too much in the evening. You know, give him more freedom. You know, it's a long day for a dog that's very energetic and very smart, as Buddy is, to, you know, have to be in a crate all day. You know, other things you can do, he is a sweet boy. I'm sure he could tolerate having either, you know, a couple days of doggy daycare, where he goes to a doggy daycare situation and gets a lot of attention, a lot of action and running around. So he'll be, you know, more satisfied. We can revisit learning to ride with him with your kids on the bike, or we just got a treadmill, so it may be something that we want to revisit and come over and learn how to ride, to run on a treadmill. You know, you might want to give him 15 minutes of just straight up running at night. There's also several apps that you know, you'll interview people first, but that can come to your house during the day while you're gone and take your dog for, you know, a half an hour walk and give him some attention and stuff. So all of those things will take the pressure off you for being Buddy's number one entertainment. And, you know, it's just, I think all of this tearing up of stuff is just, he's bored, he doesn't have enough to do, and it's just his personality. He's not a calm, lay around the house dog, and he needs to have more interaction and more of that kind of stuff going on. So those are just some suggestions with the crate. If he's not tearing up stuff in the house, you know, you can let him back out of the crate when you get home. If you've got a lot of excitement as you come in the door, that might be a time when you come in the door, he needs to sit and quiet down and not race around. You may put him in the kennel at that time till you get your groceries in, till you get your kids in, and just ignore him and make him be quiet in the crate while you're doing that stuff. Then when you guys are calmed down and ready to work with him or be with him, let him out once he's calmed down in the crate. So you can also use the crate as, you know, in that way, rather than having him in there all day. So, yes, and let's see, okay, yeah, I mean, I think the Kong is good. You can figure out all different types of things to put in the Kong for him, and lessen his, you know, he could have a couple Kongs a day. If you buy more Kongs or more of that, there's a hollow bone that's a couple of dollars that you can also freeze canned food or his softened food in there for more stimulation. You know, I always give dogs in the crate, you know, for Betty, because he needs to chew on stuff where you don't have to take it away as much, or have him hide it or take it somewhere. Any of that stuff obviously should still be in the crate and finished, or take a stick and remove it. I'm not sure where you guys are at with that right now, but it seems like you're doing really good, so we want to keep that action that he's not guarding things again. So I think that's really good news, because that, to me, that was kind of, I know these are other problems, but to me the more severe is, we don't want him biting anybody. So, excuse me. So, okay, so the doorbell is taking the immediate precedence over any command that you're giving him. So you really have to desensitize the doorbell. That's something, maybe if you've got some time this weekend or an evening this week, to be right there with him, making him stay on place, or making him do a sit or a down stay, and having the kids go around and ring that doorbell, off the hook. And you're going to have to give him a good pop on the leash to correct him and get the attention back on you. Or also you can use the eCollar to, get him to be quiet and stop barking, and to sit and to down. And, anytime he jumps for that door, or isn't paying attention, or, gets out of whatever command that you've asked him to do, when, y'all are ringing the doorbell, that's what he needs to have, a strong correction, because he needs to have that set up in his mind that when he hears the doorbell, he's going to also remember that when he reacted to it, that he had a correction that was meaningful to him. And if you guys are having trouble with that, that might be something that, I need to stop by and visit and show you what a meaningful correction is. I don't know that he was that sensitive to the eCollar or the prong collar that much. So, giving him enough of a pop on it, he's a small dog, so you don't want to pull it so hard that he's, his body is flying or anything like that. But a jerk enough that, it's meaningful for him. And I think that the doorbell may need to be, if he's that reactive to it, you're going to probably need to give yourself almost, a week, about 5 days, where you practice that nightly, ringing that doorbell and him staying calm and not doing it. It's a repetition of things and the change in the brain on the reaction to that sound. If you guys don't want to do that, or you don't have time to do it, sorry, I've been talking a lot today, obviously, losing my voice, but I would cover the doorbell and put, a note on it that says, please do not ring the doorbell, if that need be. But there really is no reason that after a few times of you guys doing the fake, going around and ringing it, and I call that baiting the dog. You're baiting them to misbehave so that you have that chance to make the correction and make the learning experience. So if that can occur a few times and be corrected on the spot, the next time it happens, when it really is UPS or the neighbor or kids or whatever, he's less likely to get to that amped up state, because he's had that training prior. And he did have some of the doorbell here, but our doorbell may sound different. There may be different excitement behind that doorbell at your house than it was here. And we practice a lot with him and the knock at the door. That was really hard for him at first. That knock really stimulated him, and that, hey, how are you doing? And that excitement, because he's an excitable dog. So practice those things, and give me an update and let me know how things are going. If you need any more explanation on that, or you don't understand anything, or something that I didn't say, feel free to email me, and we'll set up a time where you've got time where I can sit down and we can talk talk it through again. Or I can also do I think you guys are over not too far here too, so I could stop by and we could do a little work with that. So yeah, I think we can get that stuff phased out. It's not, those are annoying, but not a big deal. So all right, well, you guys are doing great, and just give me an update and I'll talk to you again soon. Have a good night.